I want to talk about one of my favorite cello libraries. Cello libraries. Cello... Ben, what the hell? No? Yeah, that's right. Cello libraries. My name is Michael Oliva, and today I'm going to walk through Ben Osterhouse's Cello Textures Evolved. Ben Osterhouse has been one of my favorite developers for quite a while now. His libraries are extremely creative and intuitive, having become kind of a secret weapon for a lot of working composers. His skills in sampling have been evolving rapidly, so much so that he recently redeveloped his first library, Cello Textures, tweaking so much under the hood that he inadvertently created my new favorite synthesizer. That's right. Let's go take a look. This is a layout of the demo track that I wrote. Before I get into that, let's do just a quick look at the interface for Cello Textures Evolved. I won't go through a full walkthrough because Ben's already got a pretty comprehensive one and a lot of other people do that. So let's just do a quick glance. So as you can see, it is cellos, not just a synth. However, here's like a default out-of-the-box sound. So if you notice, it lights up as it goes through these little performances that he recorded. It starts with a bite, then an accent, a short swell, and a slow swell. And if you get rid of those, it'll just have the bite. And there's three different ones performed a little differently. This is a nice kind of soft one. Here's this one. Sounds a bit more Ponticello. And then this third one. Let's do the first two. Let's do the first three, actually. Yeah, once you get into the fast swell, you really start to see the difference. This has a nice bit of vibrato performed in. Versus these three. Nice and sharp. I like these ones a lot. Let's add the fourth. Really nice. A lot of Ben Osterhouse's libraries have his performance baked into the patches, but it's not really done in a way that you feel boxed in. He creates ways of recording and sampling where you can really still sculpt it. Now, I mean, you can't do everything with it, but they're all designed for very specific niche purposes, and he knocks it out of the park with that. And really, there's no getting around actual performances with releases, attacks. You can sort of do it, but it's always going to sound a bit synthetic. So when someone has that baked in, it really helps add that realism. You combine these niche type libraries with more Swiss Army knife, typical sample libraries that can do more, but less authentically. You mix that with this, and then maybe hire a real player to do a few lines, and you can write extremely expressive music. I don't know what that chord was. Forget that happened. Anyway. So that's the basic cello bits and pieces of this library and how it's laid out. And then there's quite a few pages of ways you can affect these samples. And that's where all his presets come into play. Like, if you look here, there's an array of sustain presets, rhythmic presets, gestural presets, and what he calls Chaos Lab presets. And then you have the default. And then, of course, you can make your own just by tweaking all of these. But I'm going to put this back to how it was. Yeah, just make sure that's all good. Because when I show you my demo, I'll need that, even though that's just one line in that. Anyway, let's take a look at the sounds I used in my demo next. So as you can see, I had originally laid out about 13 to 10 tracks and kind of whittled away. Not all of them ended up being used. These were some of the sounds I initially gravitated towards when I was going through the library. This one was really neat, but just ended up not making the cut because it was less of a demo and more of a score. So when you have a score, if it's not fitting the picture, you have to let go of certain sounds, even if you love them. It just really needs to suit the images. And as always, we know less is more. But this is really fun. So these are those same cello samples. Just you can see if I load this patch, all the different parameters that he tweaked. Reverb, delays, you can shape the EQ, tape saturation and compression, modulation, envelope filters, low pass filters. So this is a fun one, but it didn't end up making the cut. So the first sounds that you hear in my demo are the ash preset and a little bit of the pyrite preset. I love this one. Ben is a mad genius. This came from a cello, and now it just sounds like a Lynchian nightmare. Really fun. The next one, pyrite. Ether I love a lot as well. This one definitely sounds a little more like the original cello samples. Much more dreamy, however. So these make up the beginning, which is pretty simple, just a few things. And you can see right here I do have the default cello sound, just briefly there. And then this first section, right up until about here, I play on the grid. So let's listen to that real fast, and I'll show you why after that I abandon it. Okay, so you can see a little bit of the video I made up in the corner here. I made the video with ideas in my head, but I decided to edit it just 10, 9 seconds a clip, maybe some if I really like the clip, push it to 15 seconds, or other times if the video started to drag, I'd do 3, 4 seconds, 6 seconds in clip length. So you think as an editor in that way, and you know, I had this pace which I like, so I set the metronome to it and just made sure it fit along with the pacing of the images. However, after this certain point, I felt like the way the images were cut, it was just a little too static to have the click the exact same. So I shut it off when I played in this next line, not only to match the pace of the instruments, but also sometimes these sounds have evolving just rhythms within themselves. Equinox here is the thing that comes in next, right? So there's a pattern in rhythm within this that if you have an arbitrary click and the note has to switch, it just might not sound as good. So I just played it until I felt it was right to switch. So let's take a look at that real fast. So it comes in right here. Doesn't work with the click, so I'll shut it off. But you can see the images. You don't always want the notes or chord changes to happen on the nose of every clip switch. It's nice to have. Sometimes you want it to match when the scene changes. Sometimes it's nice to switch in between, just a little bit of feathering. So yeah, that's why I did that. Let's stop this, not give too much away. It's not terribly long anyways. So yeah, I'll walk through the rest of the sounds real quick that I used, and then we'll get into the short film I made and let you hear it in action. So Ether and then Ash we went through. So now let's check out Wraith, which I use a little bit at the end. Actually, no, let's do Chromium first. This one is, I'll open it up, you can see it's in one of the rhythm categories. Really cool stuff. It's crazy that all this came out of a cello. And this was a library that it was his first library called Cello Textures. And he recently went in case you missed my intro, and he re-edited all his samples from the ground up. They're not new recordings, but he re-edited all of his samples and then redid the interface with tons more options that you can sculpt all the sounds. And it just basically created an experimental scoring machine, it's a synthesizer within itself, which is really fun. The cello samples are beautiful, but I really love all these experimental presets with this particular library. So that's Chromium. Let's check out Wraith. Mozart on it. Very, very cool and creepy. And then finally, we just have a couple left. Sandpaper and Clockwork, which is another rhythmic one that I added. and then a final kind of experimental rhythmic one. And that's really it. I kept it simple for this little score. Could have done a lot more layering, but sometimes it just doesn't need it, especially when all of these sounds are just really expressive within themselves and have a nice texture and atmosphere. You can muddy it up with too much going on. Alright, so that final one was Clockwork, and that's basically it. Thanks for checking out how I constructed my demo. Now let's move on to the next part of the video. So lately I've been getting into videography and have been taking a lot of footage with my new Sony FX30. I put together a little short film. David Lynch is dead. Tarantino's pretty much retired. Jarmusch, you're on the run. Sundance might move to Cincinnati. We'll see what happens. Anyways, I filmed this the other day and scored it tonight using Cello Textures Evolved. I hope you like it. Well, that's that. Make sure to leave a comment below and let me know what you think of the music and the video. Be sure to check out Osterhouse sounds. And regarding my channel, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe, and follow for more. Capiche? Well, Michael Oliva here signing off, and I'll see you in the next one. God forbid something tragic may befall you. Just make sure you like and subscribe, and I'm sure I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.